Hey everyone, welcome to our deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring the world of passion, grit, and this incredible journey of Jason Paul.
Yeah.
He's a leading figure in parkour, but I think what's so fascinating about his story is it's so much bigger than these really impressive physical feats.
Absolutely. He's a real world example of how you can take a passion, make it into something that's a lifelong pursuit, and it can totally transform you. And I think even more so than that, inspire other people to kind of follow suit. And
what's cool is it's not just about natural talent. You know, we're talking about the ditty gritty, how he built his skills, how he built a community around this. It's almost like a blueprint for how to take an idea or a passion and turn it into something incredible.
And you think about those early days of parkour, like back in the 80s and 90s in France. There were no YouTube tutorials. There were no fancy gyms.
Right.
It was just a bunch of people who were inspired by action movies. And they were figuring it out as they went, so it was a totally different landscape.
What a test of grit and determination.
Yeah.
And that's where Jason's story comes in.
Yeah.
So imagine being 14 years old, not particularly athletic, but completely captivated by this idea of moving freely through your environment. So Jason gets hooked on parkour after watching the movie Yamakasi and then a short news segment.
Wow.
And he was determined to figure it out, even with limited resources.
That's so cool. I mean, that's where this concept of turning a complex environment into a kind of one for learning really comes into play, because you think he didn't have mentors.
Right.
He didn't have any kind of structured classes. His main resource was a website that had just photos of parkour moves, no videos.
Wow.
Can you imagine trying to learn a physical skill like that today?
It's mind-blowing, right? We're so used to instant access.
Yeah.
But Jason used his dad's clunky video camera to record himself, and he would painstakingly compare his technique, frame by frame, to videos of the parkour founders in France. I mean,
that's amazing.
Talk about turning limitations into opportunities.
That's incredible. And what's so fascinating about that is it really embodies the principles of a growth mindset. You know,
Totally.
He wasn't afraid to fail. He saw every attempt as a chance to learn.
Right.
And that persistence, that willingness to embrace the challenge, that's what fueled his progress.
And it wasn't just about personal growth either.
Right.
Jason was documenting his journey from the beginning.
Wow.
He was sharing his progress, his struggles, his successes, even though he was a beginner.
That's so interesting, because it really speaks to how the early parkour practitioners like Jason embraced this idea of decentralized knowledge sharing.
Right.
They formed these online communities. They were sharing tips and feedback, helping each other improve. It was a really collaborative approach to learning.
And that's such a key point for our listeners, right?
Yeah.
Sharing your journey, even if you're just starting out, can be incredibly powerful. You never know who you might inspire or connect with.
Yeah.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Because Jason wasn't content with just learning and documenting his own progress, you know?
Right.
He wanted to share his passion.
Yeah.
He wanted to bring other people into this world that he discovered.
That's awesome. I mean, it's a perfect example of how passion can be both selfish and selfless.
Totally.
It's like you're diving deep into something that you love,
but
you also want to share that joy and that knowledge with other people.
Right. And Jason's starts small. He's hosting these free workshops to try and grow the local parkour community. I mean, he's just a teenager himself.
Right.
But he's already stepping into this leadership role.
So cool.
So inspiring to see that kind of initiative.
Totally.
And speaking of inspiring, he has this hilarious story about teaching parkour to a complete stranger.
Oh, the accidental parkour lesson at the train station.
Yeah.
That is such a good story.
It's the best.
It really captures Jason's infectious enthusiasm and his willingness to just go above and beyond to share his knowledge.
Okay, so picture this. Jason's at the train station, practicing some moves, and this guy approaches him. Turns out the guy's just waiting for a childhood friend. And thought Jason looked familiar. They start chatting, and before you know it, Jason's giving this guy a 2 to 3 hour parkour lesson.
Oh my God.
The guy wasn't even interested in learning parkour.
Wow.
He just got swept up
That's amazing.
in Jason's passion.
That's what's so powerful about genuine enthusiasm, right? It's contagious. It draws people in, even if they weren't initially interested. It creates these unexpected connections and learning moments.
Totally. And you think about how different things are today with social media.
Right.
Anybody can become a teacher, a mentor, a leader, just by sharing their passion online.
That's so true.
It's like Jason's story, but amplified.
It's incredible to think about how, like, these digital traces, these, like, breadcrumbs that we leave online can connect us with like-minded individuals. They can create opportunities. They can even shape our own identities.
Totally. Like, think about how Jason and his friends decided to launch a parkour clothing brand.
Right.
It wasn't just about fashion.
Totally.
It was about fueling their passion and sharing it with the world.
That's such an important point. I think a lot of people miss that.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't driven by profit or fame.
Right.
They wanted to create videos for the parkour community
to
capture the essence of this movement and inspire others.
Yeah.
And they use their brand as a platform to do just that.
And that entrepreneurial spirit, that willingness to take risks and create something new, that's another key takeaway from Jason's story.
Absolutely.
Like, he saw a need in the community and he took action to fill it.
He did. It's like he was building the infrastructure for his passion to thrive.
Right.
Not just for himself, but for everybody. He shared that love for parkour.
And it all circles back to that idea of turning a complex environment into a kind one for learning.
Totally.
By building his brand, by creating videos, by fostering that online community. He was making parkour more accessible, more approachable, and ultimately more kind.
I love that. And this kind of brings us to another crucial aspect of Jason's journey.
Okay.
His insights on social media and how it shapes our perceptions and our actions.
Right.
He talks about the importance of being mindful of what we consume and what we create online.
That's so important.
Wow.
We have so much power at our fingertips.
We do.
But it's easy to get caught up in the noise and lose sight of what truly matters.
It is.
Jason's story is a reminder to use social media as a tool to amplify our passions, to connect with others.
Totally.
And to create positive change.
And it's not just about finding your passion, right? It's about having the courage to share it with the world.
Totally.
Remember, even Jason, this incredibly accomplished athlete, started as a 14-year-old kid with a dream and a clunky video camera.
And it really does all come back to that, that idea that we talked about earlier about turning a complex environment into a kind one for learning by sharing his journey.
Absolutely.
By building this really supportive community. Jason made parkour less intimidating, more accessible, and ultimately kinder for anyone who wanted to learn.
And that's such a powerful message for anybody who's listening right now.
Right.
It doesn't matter what your passion is.
Yeah.
Whether it's parkour or coding, writing, anything. By embracing that growth mindset, by sharing your knowledge, and by building these connections, you can create that same kind of positive environment for yourself and others.
It's like baking a giant parkour cake.
Yeah.
Right? The more you share, the bigger the cake gets for everyone to enjoy.
Exactly.
And that brings us to a really interesting point. Remember how Jason traveled to India and saw people from all walks of life using smartphones to connect and learn?
That was such a powerful observation. It really shows how technology can democratize knowledge and break down those traditional barriers to learning.
Totally.
It's no longer about needing fancy equipment or expensive classes. It's about that willingness to learn, to connect, and to share.
Exactly. And think about it. Jason's story started with a grainy video and a clunky camera.
Right.
Today we have these incredible tools at our fingertips.
Yeah.
We can document our journeys. We can connect with people all over the world.
Absolutely.
We can build communities around our passions. It's truly an exciting time to be a learner.
It is. And it all starts with that first step, right? That decision to embrace your passion, to cultivate that growth mindset.
Totally.
And to share your journey with the world.
So here's our challenge for you.
Okay.
What's one small step you can take today to nurture your passion?
Yeah.
Maybe it's joining an online community.
Yeah.
Maybe it's watching a tutorial. Maybe it's picking up that project you've been putting off.
Totally.
Remember, every journey starts with a single step.
It does.
And who knows, maybe your passion will lead you to unexpected places and incredible connections, just like it did for Jason.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.